talking a bit more now about the residency that I undertook. I received the Studio Safley Award for my 9-month role as artist in residence at the Ablett unit at Betsy Cadwallader University Health Board. And at the very start of the residency, I started by devising a diverse 6-week programme, which included drawings, paintings, creative writing, pinhole photography and video and sound workshops. And I also did film screenings as well. And as part of this award, I invited Susan Liggett to take part and co-facilitate the painting workshops at the Ablett. So I'd just like to sort of introduce Sue, who will talk about her a bit about her notion of psychological resonance.
I became interested in the notion of psychological resonance when researching the creative process of 5 contemporary painters. Psychological resonance is a metaphoric vibration resulting from an inner dialogue between subject and object, in a ceaseless exchange between the artist, or in this case the patients, their inspiration, and the audience for their artwork. As a notion, psychological resonance oscillates between the objective and the subjective world. It's intangible and difficult to articulate, and this is why I relate these ideas to Karen's ideas regarding the preverbal and Christaver's concept of the chora. Through my exploration of the term psychological resonance, I devised a conceptual framework for the creative process, and this was really useful to refer to when initiating the painting workshops with the patients at the Ablett unit. Karen and I are interested in the poetic. The poetic has a resonance. It awakens something within us that's laid dormant. And to quote Baum, creativity is the result of inner listening, a dialogue between the self and other, subject and object. Therefore, knowledge of reality or meaning does not lie in the subject or the object, but the dynamic flow between them, much in the way that psychological resonance is a vibration between a subjective and objective world.
And this is one of the first works that we did a couple of years ago, a collaborative work that we did together. I'd just like to show you a few of the patients' drawings, the initial work that we actually started at the Ablett. These were, this one in particular was in response to sound, where the patients were sort of just responding to various soundtracks that I actually took in. We also took them to visits to the local church. During the residency, both Sue and I worked with the patients and staff at the hospital, as well as pursuing our own research. And in addition to delivering these workshops, we also invited patients and staff to keep written audio and visual diaries. And we wanted, in this respect, we wanted them to explore ideas of time, dream and sleep. And these were both therapeutic and collaborative elements in the production and editing of these artworks. And what we found about working with the patients, through the experience, I observed within their work certain rhythms, colours and trace found within their drawings and in this instance within their pinhole camera work. These were quite soft. These were done on sort of a digital camera, and they gave quite a soft focus. And what we found was what they were unable to articulate in the spoken word, they expressed through their use of colour and within their sleep diaries to encourage sort of creative thinking. We commenced with this notion of time and dreams, and we're developing this sense of dream alludes to another space, dreams are experienced during sleep and remembered upon waking, and these sort of almost like dreaming waking states alternate and mingle. Through what I've been trying to do with the dream films that sort of I introduced to the patients was create environments where the audience is unsure as to whether one is asleep or awake, or even in this state of in-betweenness. And it's this sort of in-betweenness that we're actually developing at the moment. I'll just let Sue, Sue just talk a bit about her notion of in-betweenness as well.
I found in-betweenness relates to the stage in the creative process where myself as an artist and the artists that I've worked with and researched find it difficult to articulate in words exactly what they were intending in their artwork. The dream state Karen describes as occupying an in-betweenness could also be akin to this notion of psychological resonance I've spoken about, and the movement between sites or states of being that exists but are intangible and difficult to articulate. Through exploring the work of Winnicott and Witkin, who suggests that there are three areas of related experience: the subjective, the objective, and what Winnicott's called potential space. This potential space I see as having similarities to notions of in-betweenness.
The current funded project at Betsy Cogmolody University Health Board has allowed me the time and opportunity to meet and converse with various patients, artists and staff. Within the hospital, the patients suffer from a variety of illnesses such as depression, postnatal depression, bipolar and psychosis. And this residency has allowed me to explore art and science collaborations and notions of in-betweenness. In my case, the idea of in-betweenness is derived from both the patient's experience of depression and simultaneous states of mind often featured in psychosis. And within this slide, I was actually just trying to capture some of the experience of sort of the unit with this sort of like almost like surreal sort of type of quality within it. I'll just show you sort of through now is this is a series of probably about 10 slides of the patient's paintings that we actually did. These are actually quite small paintings. They're probably about 15 centimetres, maybe slightly more, maybe 20 centimetres roughly. They're on board and we put gesso on, and they were quite small and quite intimate, and what we found was when painting, the patients were able to face and overcome their fears as they confronted their problems or difficulties in their artwork. And to be creative is to respond, to reconcile emotional disturbances brought about by conflict between our subjective experiences and how we feel about these things, and how these things really are in the cold light of day in the outside world of objective experiences. And ultimately, if engaging in making art can, for even a second, help the patients to see the world afresh and perhaps change their judgment on the world momentarily, then we think we've succeeded in this. And we this one in particular was one where one of the patients was actually just going through and actually painting her dreams actually. And a lot of these, the patients actually didn't feel that they could paint, but they produced some really lovely small paintings. And within these, we've got there's probably about between 150 and 200 of these small paintings, and we'll be having an exhibition which I'll discuss slightly later. And as part of this exhibition, we see these, sort of covering a whole wall, and there's this sort of like immensity of colour.